Okay. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Winter Ready Residential Tree Care, what top companies do from December to March. We're going to give everybody a couple more minutes to trickle in, and then we will get started. Excited to welcome a lot of people here today. We had over 300 people register for this session. Looks like we've got 100 on the webinar so far. So let that get up to 150 or 200, and then we'll get started. In the meantime, as you're joining, if you don't mind letting us know in the chat where you're joining from. And also, as a bonus, your favorite holiday movie. I'll give you a couple of my favorites on my background here. Classic. How can you not love Home Alone? And of course, the go-to.
Still Elf for me. Elf stole the show when Elf came around. It's the first movie we watched this season already.
Agreed. Great choice. Great choice. Ooh, Jingle All the Way. That's solid. I always forget about that one, but maybe I'll watch that tonight. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I agree. A lot of Die Hard fans. Okay, The Grinch.
Ooh, It's a Wonderful Life. No one ever says that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a classic. All right, Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm from Nashville originally. Great to see another Tennessean. Got Ohio, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Canada.
Hey, I saw a Denver person. That's exciting. This is officially an international webinar now. Thanks,
Yes.
Canada.
All right, we'll give everybody about 30 more seconds and then we'll dive in. Yes, just saw a question in the chat. Are we muted? So attendees are muted, but we have the chat and Q&A available for interacting with your host, coming to you from Granum, Taylor Gould, Chief Marketing Officer here at Granum, and then our awesome panelists who I'm going to introduce briefly. Montauk, all right, beautiful. Okay, let's dive in. Thank you all for taking some time out of your day to join us in our awesome panel today. This is going to be a great session. Excited to share more about what these companies are doing, not only this winter, but have done in previous winters to, improve their operations and really make the most of a unique season that, it's different throughout the entire country and continent. So, without further ado, I'd love to hand it over to our panelists, Megan and Hunter Townsend from Altitude Arborists, Adam Servin from ATS Tree Services, and Priscilla Garuba from Lynch Landscape and Tree to tell you a little bit more about their companies, where they're located, what type of services they offer, and one tip for the audience that they've learned from prior winters, and we'll dive into that much more as we go. So. Megan and Hunter, I'll pass it to you first.
Oh, cool. All right. Well, I'm Hunter Townsend. I am the co-founder and CEO of Altitude Arbors. We're located in Broomfield, Colorado, which is just north of Denver. We're primarily a residential tree care company, full service tree care company. We specialize in, giving that extra touch to our customers and providing the best customer service that we can while meeting all the tree needs that are possible. My lesson learned, it's kind of a tough one really to explain, but there's a song by Garth Brooks going way back the river that basically says, what you put off till tomorrow is now today. I believe that seasonally as much as today, and that those plans that we put off that we don't want to do, now is the time to do them. And winter is the time to take care of those things.
Yep, absolutely. You almost stole my
I
tip.
almost did.
You were so close. Megan Townsend, I have my super sexy voice today. I am sick, so enjoy, I guess. And I am also co-founder of Altitude Arborist. I am COO. I do all things that have very little to do at this point with trees or clients. So finance, marketing, HR, strategy, keeping up with regulatory things. And for me, it's a similar line of what Hunter said, but I did not put it together with a song. It's really, in the past, we have waited too long to organize what we need to do to stay busy in the winter. And so really, for us, it's about putting together plans in the fall before things slow down, so you're not panicking um, when suddenly you're only booked out a couple of weeks and you're worried about having to lay people off. So that's us.
Awesome. Thank you. Adam, over to you.
Yeah, I'm Adam with ATS Tree Services. We're in southeastern Pennsylvania, above Philadelphia. And yeah, I'm owner, CEO of ATS. We've been doing this about 13 and a half years now. We've run two to almost three crew residential tree care company. We added on plant health care last year. And so now we're kind of, all aspects of tree care. For us, we've found that a big thing for us for the winter months is to make sure that we're obviously appropriately backlogged with work, so that a lot of that has to come from doing that work in the busy season to get work on the schedule for the winter.
Yeah, absolutely. Critical. Awesome. Priscilla, over to you.
Hi, I'm Priscilla DeRubis. I'm from Lynch Landscape and Tree Service. I'm the business operations manager. I handle the finance, the HR, strategy, operations. Um, our company's been in Metro West Boston, which is about 25 minutes outside of Boston for 45 years. We're multi-service, landscape maintenance, design, build, tree, plant health care, irrigation, fine gardening, and snow. Um, Primarily residential high end. And I would say that we start planning for winter in July, and I don't think you can ever start planning early enough. So we try to get as much backlog as we can. We start trying to plan for snow and all other services that we can carry through the winter as early as we possibly can.
That's great. Thank you so much. And a couple fun facts about our panelists here. Number one, they are all SingleOps customers and have been for years. So thank you all for your support. And thank you to all of our SingleOps customers that are on the call. We'll get into some of the kind of use cases and ways that these customers are exploring and using the system today. So hope that's helpful to the audience. And my second fun fact is Megan and I sang karaoke together last year at TCI Expo, Bohemian Rhapsody. So,
So
um,
good.
yeah, it was great.
Careful, I have video.
Yeah, you can let us know your favorite karaoke song in the chat. Um, okay, so before we get into our first topic for the panel, just wanted to poll the audience really quickly to kind of understand where everybody's heads are at collectively. Um, our team is going to pop a poll up here in a second, but the question is just what's your biggest priority this winter? And the four things we thought about were filling the backlog, storm readiness, managing cash flow, and training and standardization, and kind of using that off season to, improve both skills and process. So really looking forward to seeing what our audience has to say here. Almost half of you have responded, so we'll give it another 5 or 10 seconds. And I believe we will show these results after they're done. Great. So you should be able to see these. I'll just read them out if not. So 48%, your priority is filling the backlog. Number two, or second, 35% cash flow, then training and standardization, and lastly, storm readiness. So I'm excited for our panel to kind of share more about how they've tackled these priorities over the years and this year in particular, as we get into it here. Awesome. So let's talk about selling smarter in the winter season and kind of how you handle winter sales. We all got on our prep call yesterday and talked about how kind of these businesses handle both selling and specifically pricing their services in the winter. So the first question I wanted to discuss is how do you adjust your pricing strategy, if at all, for the winter? Are you changing it at all or not? And if so, why? And kind of what goes into those decisions and how do those impact your business? So, love to start with maybe you, Priscilla.
So in the winter, we definitely lower our prices for our tree care services. Because we are not dependent solely on tree for our revenue. So we do like to try to build up our tree backlog in the winter. We do carry design build through the winter, and also we have snow if it does snow. We've kind of been unlucky in the Northeast the last few years where it hasn't really snowed. So that tree and design build has really come in handy. So we do lower our prices in the winter.
Yeah,
And
makes a lot of
that does seem to drive in more business and build up a good backlog.
Yeah, and as a multi-service company, that makes a lot of sense to kind of
Yeah.
balance across the portfolio. And
Yes.
Megan and Hunter, I know you all have a different kind of approach, so tell us more about what's gone into your thought process there.
Yeah, so for us, we actually don't change our pricing. We try to keep our price pretty much standard throughout the season, with the idea of building that backlog through the summer during our winter months, and then pushing, that scheduled season out into the winter months. So we have a full schedule, and the reason we went that approach is it gives us more of a predictable cash flow, so we know exactly what is on the books and what that looks like, so we can have better expectations for our crew. We're fortunate in Colorado most days that it's sunny and beautiful, other than today when it's 80-mile-an-hour winds blowing outside. Um, so we expect to be able to work pretty much all winter long doing pure true care. So keeping that predictable cash flow really allows us to look at the budget cycle and through the winter of how far we're booked out and what our expectations can be for budgeting for our whole company. And then we do have some services that we push to winter, with mulch installations and air spading and some other stuff that are better done during our cooler season, as dry as we are in Colorado. So there are some seasonal items that we push back to fall or winter, uh, to better utilize those.
I think one of the things also that has helped us a lot is since we started plant healthcare 6 or so years ago, I don't know. It has really helped boost our revenue in the summer, to be able to plan for winter. We used to always have a line item on our invoices in the summertime as we were trying to build our winter backlog, saying, 10% off if this work is performed, January through March, something along those lines. So people who were looking for a discount or a deal, it can help fill your winter, if you don't if you're nervous, right? If you're looking at winter going, I'm terrified, I don't want to let people go, all of that. So that has helped tremendously. And certainly while we try to keep our prices the same all winter, yeah, I mean, it's silly to ignore the market if things aren't going your way. Yeah, it's great to get full price for your services, and we try to do that year round. But not to the point where we're going to not have any business because everyone is scrabbling for work. So
Yeah. And what are some metrics you look at in your business to kind of monitor if that's impacting you or not, competition and
well, I mean, certainly a lot of what we do is ask, right? So if a client decides not to work with us, we ask, what caused you to choose another company? And this year, more than any other, I think we've had to compete on price I mean, oh, the other company was $50 less, to the point where people are really, really watching. Yes, you still have to have that value proposition. But this year we've had to pay a lot more attention to what the market will handle. And then beyond that, it's just how far booked out are we and how far booked out are we with our estimates as well.
Yeah, and because I work a little more closely with our field staff, I'd say we use SingleOps a fair amount, or I do as a manager with looking at our closure rates and tracking that over anywhere from a 10-day period out to a 30, 60, 90-day period to make sure that our closure rates are staying consistent. It's a good metric to know, hey, are we losing more than we're bidding on and why? So that we can look at that objectively.
yeah, that's great. And do you typically see your closure rates fluctuate seasonally, or is it more consistent year round?
I'll be curious to see what the results of this winter looks like. Normally, I would say our closure rates stay fairly consistent, anywhere from probably 65 to 75% closure rates on our calls,
Yeah.
which is pretty high. But anything higher than that, I get uncomfortable that we're underpricing things. Anything lower than that, if we get to below 50, we're looking at pricing that we're going the other way, which is where we started the summer out. Our closure rate was really low, and we had to adjust. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Great insights. Thank you. And I imagine, at least I know we find this in our business, and I think it's kind of universal. When you can keep price constant, you can like optimize and learn so much about other parts of your business and levers in the funnel, which ultimately influence your profit at the end of the day, right? So that's great. Adam, tell us about how you guys price and sell in the winter.
Yeah. Ideally, we would like to keep the pricing where it normally is. For us, we're in a pretty competitor dense area. So, we'll see that our sales rates will start dropping if we don't adjust accordingly. So, in order to kind of keep up with the industry trends, we end up having to drop some pricing. But yeah, ideally, if we can plan accordingly in the busy season, we can kind of naturally just put some of that work, easy tree removals, things that are, dropping a tree in the woods and leaving it, we could do that in snow. There's no like heavy cleanup. That's ideal jobs we'd like to backlog before we get into the season that can help us prepare.
Mhm. That's great. Thank you. And one other thing I'd like to explore on winter selling is just services or kind of ways to utilize your crew in the winter that you have come up with or learned over the years. And love to start with you, Hunter and Megan. Hunter, you shared how you all are you're building out kind of maps for commercial customers, right? And that's been something you've been able to do in the winter kind of uniquely.
Yeah, so being able to use the tree inventory has really allowed us to reach out to not just HOAs and call it light commercial properties, but even some of our residential customers with big properties with 40 to 50 trees on a property. If it's a 3-acre property, 4-acre property, being able to offer the service of, hey, we'd like to come in and help design or create a full tree inventory with geospatial mapping that we can then help work within a budget to make sure in a sustainable rotation we can actually hit all the trees and take care of your trees. And with the inventory program now, we can track what trees we're hitting on what years and what intervals instead of just trying to do it all on Excel, and make sure that we're spatially affecting the property. In other words, we're not just hitting these trees on the left side of the property this year. We're hitting some trees throughout the property to make sure we're giving an overall beautification of the property every time we visit the property, but also allows the customer to really see where their budget's going and helps design their budget so we can tailor those needs towards, one customer has a $10,000 budget a year, the other has a I don't know, $1,000 budget for the year. Obviously, those are vastly different scales, but it
Yeah.
allows us to really say, hey, where is the best use of your budget on your property to maximize your goals for your property? Whether that's your own enjoyment of your space in your backyard, whether that's for curb appeal from the street, whether that's just safety or whatever it may be. It gives us as property managers, as stewards of the land, to really objectively look at it and come up with a strategy of how to use that budget wisely on the property. We've had great feedback from customers of being understanding that yes, we're going to pay for this up front because we do charge for these inventories. So you're going to pay for it up front, but in the long term, you're going to save money because we now have a sustainable plan to move forward.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so clear that you've developed really meaningful and complex relationships with your customers, and it's great to hear that inventory is playing a role in that. So, for those of you listening, Hunter's speaking about the tree inventory feature in SingleOps that launched earlier this year. If you haven't checked it out, please do. We're here to help you do that. And those of you that like to explore it, let us know.
And I'm really excited to see how this affects our operations down the road as the years go by with the inventory now. Because we'll pull a report that's, what clients did we prune for 3 years ago, right? And maybe we haven't been back out to their property, or maybe we have, but if we can pull up the map and say, we pruned this tree and this tree, but these haven't been touched, or this one was last year, this one was 3 years ago. We can reach out in a more personal way to those clients and find that data faster instead of taking the time to dig through all of the old jobs to be able to have a more meaningful conversation with our clients.
Yeah, and I'll add on that to the winter side of it and where it really comes into play. Certain tree species, I know in our area, but regionally and all over the place, those species are slightly different, but lend themselves better to winter pruning. And so when we have those maps, we can use them as a tool in our toolbox to say, hey, we're going to visit this property in June to do these trees, and we're going to visit this property in February to do these trees, and set that up with the customer with very clear expectations, so we know exactly where we're going, when we're going, and why we're going.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you all so much. And Priscilla, I'd love to call on you. You have a multi-service business. You do tree in-house. What have you found, do you have those crews kind of cross-training or working on other services in the winter that you've built over the years to keep them productive?
No, actually, we don't. Our tree crew pretty much stays consistent on tree. We're lucky that they do stay busy throughout the winter. So they'll stay consistent working in tree all winter long. And to kind of piggyback on what Hunter said about the tree inventory, that has been a really helpful tool for us. Our tree division manager, who's a certified arborist, he's creating those inventories, going out to those customers, really being able to map things out and going back. Going out to do a site visit, mapping that, and then being able to come back, months and months later and saying, hey, is there other work that I can do here in the winter? And then reaching out to the customer. And usually the customer is pretty receptive to that. I mean, we're lucky we're in a high-end residential environment where, people are looking to do things to their homes. So we're lucky in that regard. But to answer your question, our tree crews pretty much stay on our tree crews for the winter. We don't see a lot of crossover either with our landscape or design build, where we pretty much keep everybody in their own little divisions.
That's great. Wow. You must have a really dialed in sense of kind of demand in your area, and obviously a great relationship with all of your customers.
Yeah, we do. We have a pretty good high retention rate amongst our clients. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, I'd love to transition to our next topic, but just to kind of put a bow on this one, if if you all wouldn't mind each just sharing one tip for keeping pricing and schedules dialed in during the winter. Adam, I'd love to start with you.
So I think just knowing, where you're at last year, how you were selling the previous year, and what to kind of look for in the upcoming year. Um, Another thing is for us, I think there's some jobs where, homeowners they haven't fully committed to the job in the season, in the busy season, and they're just looking for maybe like that extra little discount that you can't really drop the price to that point, through the busy season. It might be a good option to give them the winter discount pricing, if you will, and be able to still retain that job in a time that now you can get around to it in the winter.
Yeah, makes sense. Megan and Hunter, tip from you all.
I think for me, it's using the tools that we have at our fingertips. Running reports, running whatever tool set you're comfortable with using, but understanding that there's customers that you have probably serviced before that need service again, and being able to figure out how to systematically and efficiently revisit those customers. And starting early. Priscilla said it the best. Starting that process in July. Don't wait until January. Start it early. The
Mhm.
best time to sell work is when people are looking at their trees in their backyard, and then explaining to folks why this needs to wait until winter, and understanding that you're going to lose some of those customers. But with enough education and a reputation that you can stand on as a company, most of those people are going to wait for you.
Yeah, and I think, to answer something that a couple of people have asked is how do you get your clients to wait until winter time? One option is that pricing strategy that we've spoken about. Adam and Priscilla having those winter discounts, and we'll have those sometimes too, depending on how far out we are. But also having a robust terms and conditions. That is something that we did invest in this last year, is working with an attorney to have terms and conditions set to where there is a penalty for canceling work. And yes, we are very kind, nice people. At the same time, we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our people, so they stay fed year round. So having those terms and conditions that are fairly strict has helped us, I believe, with minimizing the people who cancel.
That's great. Thank you. And Priscilla, one tip from you.
Again, I would just say start really early, build that backlog. To Megan and Hunter's point, you can start building that backlog by, doing your site visits with your tree inventory, and getting out there and just trying to sell that work in the fall, the summer and the fall. And we do use that discount to get that work scheduled into the winter. But start early.
That's great. Okay, well, let's move on. Actually, before our next topic, I'd love to go to our next poll because it's pretty relevant to a lot of what we just talked about with tree inventory. Um, so we'll come back to that. But our poll is, where would tree inventory help you the most? And some options we thought of were risk triage, client education, prioritization, and then crew planning. Interested to hear what our audience has to say on this one. And just to note, I am monitoring the Q&A, and we're going to try to set aside about 10 minutes at the end to go through questions and address them then. And if any come up kind of throughout these topics, we can talk about them as well. Okay, more of an even split for this poll. Client education, prioritization, and crew planning is 2 and 3, and then risk triage. And I think, we just heard a lot about client education and using tree inventory to really develop that client relationship, so that you're looking at kind of a property and the work strategically over time. It's good for you. It's good for the client. Okay. Let me figure out how to go back. Okay, so finding opportunities in your customer base and in your data. We touched on this a little bit with tree inventory, obviously, maybe a lot. But I heard some from our panelists yesterday about other ways of looking into kind of the customer base and their data as well. So, Hunter, I know you mentioned kind of going through services performed in the past, and I'm sure you have a good process for that. I'd love for you to share more with the audience.
Yeah, I can give a brief rundown, but Megan really is the one who pulls a lot of those reports for our staff and myself.
Cool.
But really going back and looking at, we try to prune on a 3 to 5 year pruning life cycle, if you will. So revisiting customers every 3 to 5 years to touch up their pruning, make sure things are good, but also just a health inspection if we haven't visited those folks through our plant healthcare division. So really it's pulling a report and starting on that. I'll call it September, October to start going through that report and figuring out who do we need to make contact with. And Megan can talk about how she pulls those reports, but the critical piece of that for me is making those personal connections, not just sending emails out to those folks. Sure, there are emails we send to some of those folks, but those ones in the top 10%, 25% of our revenue, if you will, so the higher paying customers, making those personal phone calls, a personal email, whatever it is to give that personal touch, we see a lot better retention and a lot better, I guess, answers to those questions to get
Mhm.
on the property and at least do a site inspection to revisit them. But Megan can speak more about how we pull those reports.
Yeah. So I tend not to use actually the reporting feature. I go into and this was a huge light bulb for our staff. Just last week I sat down because they were like, "Well, how are you getting this report?" And so I sat down with them and I actually go into approved jobs. So basically jobs that have been fully completed, paid, all of that, and then I filter. So the filters, I love how they're so robust and customizable that then I will filter by year, usually using the start date, and then pick different services. So we don't, of course, just have pruning. We have like 20 or more different ways that you could technically say pruning. And we filter by that, and then I create the CSV to export. And then our office manager is off and away with that. And now that I've taught both our plant healthcare manager and our office manager how to do that, I don't think I'll have to run those reports for them anymore. Yay, delegation. But that's generally how we come up with those. And then what we'll do is we will look at which ones are our clients that we have, more contact with, spend more money with us, or just are champions of our company, right? They're on social media regularly, talking us up, those types of things. We'll do the personal touch with those. In addition to, with that CSV, we can create a mailing list for our email software and send out something that's a little bit more targeted to those people by saying, hey, it's been X years since we've been to your property. Trees need pruning, every 3 to 5 years, blah, blah, blah. How about a winter inspection? Right. So instead of saying we want to come prune your trees, we say something along the lines of, hey, winter is a great time to inspect your trees, and here's why. And that gets people responding a little bit better, knowing they're kind of getting a free service, and then we can create the education on site, do the estimate for them, and then hopefully what we're doing is creating a bid that we're not having to put a winter discount on, ideally.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me. I've ridden around with our customers doing estimates a lot and all over the country, and just anything you put into like educating your clients, it seems to pay for itself, right? Trees are not something that most of our clients are thinking about all day, every day, like us, and we have a lot of knowledge, and that's going to build credibility with our clients. The more we can share that knowledge, so that's
Really
awesome.
quickly before we leave this, one of the things I
Mhm.
wanted to emphasize too is you have to follow up. So sending one email is not enough. A lot of times people are like, "Well, I sent an email. No one's calling me." Sending that email and then having it a follow-up email, our system will automatically put a second email out if someone doesn't open it within 3 days. And then beyond that, it's working that list. Having whoever in your office, be it sales, office manager, plant health care manager, whoever, contacting clients to see if we can get them scheduled to come take a look at their trees.
Yeah. And are you mainly making calls? You send texts, both?
We do both. We're actually working on customizing our intake form in via SingleOps on our website. We're right in the midst of a website redesign to where we can ask people their preferred method of communication.
Mhm.
But often as well, we'll keep notes, or our office manager just knows like this person isn't going to respond to a phone call. I'm going to text them or email or whatever, just depending on. We like to communicate with our clients how they want to be communicated with. So they can contact us any way other than we don't read
Yeah.
smoke signals. But yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And Priscilla, with you all being in business for, I think you said 45 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of different services you offer your clients. Tell us more about how you think about finding more opportunities in your customer base.
It's funny because I pulled the same report that Megan does. And I thought I was the only one doing it that way because I'm like, this has to be the wrong way to do it. But that's how I pull my report as well and just filter it down. So we very similar to how Megan and Hunter find opportunities. We'll look back on our job history and see, customers that haven't had services in a while, reach out to them, do a targeted email campaign, have our account managers reach out over the winter. We do site visits in the fall very frequently, going out to customers. We kind of do it as a contest for our sales reps. How many site visits can you do this week to kind of get work going? And using the technology that we have, job history data is really good. Just trying to see who's had what services and how long it's been. Um, to get that information. And we do a lot of targeted email campaigns.
That's awesome. Thank you. Adam, anything you'd like to add?
Oh, I think that Megan Hunter and Priscilla said a lot of it. But yeah, there's a lot of good things in SingleOps, like they said, to be able to produce the reports, to find previous pruning contracts that you've had, 3 years or so, um, and uh, and yeah, just trying to find those clients that really need you. That's like trying to find that flicker of light, trying to find that client that needs you in the season that you need them.
That's great. And if I could add just two things that I feel like I'm hearing from the panelists, and I've seen, from working with other clients over my 7 years here at SingleOps, uh, the earlier you invest in kind of capturing, storing, and structuring your data, the sooner you can get value out of it. And that doesn't have to be in a system like SingleOps. It just, happens to typically work better when you do it in software. But you reap the rewards years down the line, and just have that kind of mindset and that time frame in mind as you think about your data. It's critical to your business. It's almost invaluable. And then the second thing is just something I'm hearing more from the panel. I haven't run a tree business myself, but interacting with service providers that, I deal with as a homeowner, you can tell the difference in an organization that thinks of you as a client they want to have a relationship with versus like a job they want to complete. And some of the strategies and tactics we're talking about, they're only possible when, you're reaching back out to your existing clients who you've done work for in the past, and they're gonna, you know, opt in to, a winter inspection at a high rate, right? And that's going to create opportunities to do other work for them. So Just a couple things I kind of caught as we were talking. Okay. So I'd like to move on to our last topic now, so that we can leave some time for Q&A. Um, and that is improving your operations in the winter. So we spoke about this actually probably the most yesterday, on our prep call. Both, how are we improving our usage of systems and tools, whether it's technology or tools in the field, and also developing our people, um, the variety of skills that they need to perform kind of their jobs. So. Megan and Hunter, I'd love to start with you all. When you think about, the winter season, what are some of your priorities for improving the operation?
I think we see winter as a time to kind of take a breath a little bit, more from the clients reaching out to us, right? I mean, we stay busy all winter, right? People ask me who don't know our industry, oh, are you guys slow? I'm like, well, I mean, the calls have slowed down, but we're all still very busy. But taking that time, particularly where our office manager is able to breathe a little bit. And I mean, we sit down every Wednesday and have a meeting with leadership to, come up, discuss strategy, discuss problem solving, this, that, and the other, and having more time in the winter to, move forward on projects that we've wanted to do, is a big thing that we do, when we have that time and focus for everybody. Our plant healthcare manager isn't, running ragged. Our office manager isn't running ragged. We can really, really think. And then the other piece, of course, is, because we have registered apprenticeship, our our apprentices spend, a couple of days a month out of the operations in the classroom, doing their related instruction in the classroom. So the nice thing is that the local community college set up related instruction for the apprenticeship program because we asked to have most of the in-classroom time done in the winter time. So we're not pulling from production in the summer and other seasons, where production height is a little bit more important.
Yeah, and I that's definitely a big part of it. The other is investing in our people. It's our time when we're a little slower, so we still have all our same meetings we normally have throughout the summer busy months, but we take more time. Today, for an example, we were talking about some insect and disease stuff for our climbers of diagnosis and what that looks like in the top of the tree. That tends to only be a 15-20 minute meeting during the summer. This morning we spent a full hour going over, that insect in depth. So we take more time for education and really investing in our people, whether that's, like I said, I&D stuff for plant healthcare, or that's our monthly in-house aerial rescue training we do. Whatever it is, we take it to the next level in the winter when we have a little more flexibility to expand that knowledge base for our own crews. And then through the busy season, occasionally we have things that we know are maybe not broken, but not working as effectively as they could. So we table those for winter. So we have a running list of things that, hey, when we slow down this winter, these are our priorities that we need to work on and focus on to build ourselves for next year.
That's great. And I just noticed a comment in the chat from CJ, my fellow Tennessean. CJ might have been listening in on our prep call yesterday. I said this is also the time of year to network, find folks in your industry that do what you do not. And I remember we were talking yesterday about, this is the time of year to hire, especially like great people who you don't want to be in a position where you got to go hire somebody in the peak of the season, right? So, Megan, Hunter, how have you all approached kind of adding people this time of year?
Yeah, it's we're in kind of a unique situation this year, and it's kind of cool. A lot of times, I mean, people who've been in the industry for a while know that getting carried through winter is awesome. And then a lot of times they'll wait to leave until right before your busy season.
Mm.
Everything kicks up and you're like, great, thanks. I'm glad we carried you through the winter. So we're a little more proactive in terms of, evaluating people for culture fit, making sure that we really do have the right team in place to run and gun next busy season. So right now, what we're doing is, quite frankly, we're evaluating our current staff. And we also, are interviewing for an experienced climber. Do we really need an experienced climber right now? Not really. We'd be fine all winter without someone, but if we find that absolutely perfect person, we want to snag them before someone else does, because quite frankly, all the good ones tend to be gone once busy season comes around. So hitting that hiring, if you can do it budget wise at toward the beginning of slow season, make sure that person has enough time to ramp up and kind of be part of your culture, be part of, for us, the altitude arborist way. That can be really beneficial.
Yeah, I'd say we learned the hard way. Always keep the door open in case that unicorn steps out into your world, and be ready for it when it does.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Priscilla, I'd love to hand it over to you. When you think about improving your operations through the winter at Lynch, what are some things that are really top of mind for you?
We really try to focus on our people. We think that's our biggest asset, and we do try to focus on our people. Just Megan and Hunter, you guys have kind of had all the right answers the whole hour. I think we definitely try to network and try to find the right people too. If there's gaps in our org chart, we do try to find the right people, and you never know when the right person is going to walk through the door, but it's a good time to try to find the right person, and find them early, because yeah, you're right. You want to make sure that they're a culture fit before the spring rolls around, and then you're kind of like, at that time. But we've really invested in a few things for our employees that have worked out really well. We do ESL classes a few times a week, which our employees have really enjoyed and have really helped them a lot with not only in their personal lives, but with customer communication. So that's been really helpful. We've also done a lot of OSHA training in English and in Spanish, and gotten a lot of our employees OSHA certified, which has been really valuable to us. So a lot of training happens for us in the winter. I don't ever feel that it really slows down. My general manager and I kind of had this conversation. We feel like we don't ever get slow. At least the two of us don't. I feel like it just continues just to be busy in a different way. Yes, we don't have as much customer focus in the winter, but there's so much focus on the team and how do we, drive the business forward. And every January we have a where are we going kind of meeting for the team, for leadership and our core employees that we keep on in the winter. Where are we going this year? And so that's a lot of work to put that in. Just we go over financials, and the direction of the company, and try to have fun with it, at least, so it's not so boring with the financial piece. But we try to put a lot of effort into our people, and that's where we really feel like our strongest focus is.
That's great. Thanks so much. And Adam, anything you'd like to add about how you all think about, using the winter to improve your operations?
Yeah, so besides obviously trying to find the work, there's going to be empty pockets where you're going to want to fill your calendar with things, that you can still employ all of your employees and keep them going through the year. So training is a big thing that we like to do in the winter. Fortunately for us, we're close to New Jersey Crane, Noble Oak safety training. They're only about 45 minutes from us, so we do like CPR training. We'll do like an aerial lift class they're doing middle December here. And it's also a good time to take someone that is kind of up and coming on your crew. And although he's not like the main producer, you can kind of get him into the tree. It's kind of a slower time, so you can give him the attention to kind of grow his skill set, in the winter as well. Maintaining equipment is a big thing, just kind of repairing everything that has kind of gone on the back burner, and you keep on using that same tool or same piece of equipment that has an ongoing issue. It's time to fix those and get them ready for the next season. We do a little bit of firewood. We don't really advertise it, but it's something that kind of keeps guys busy. We'll do usually like a crew might do maybe a couple cord or like 20 cords of firewood or whatever, throughout a week. Try to do some firewood there. And then as far as like for management, we like to do our own little summit and kind of recap how the last year was, where we're at financially, what the next year goals are, and where we're looking to go and where we want to grow.
That's great. Thank you all so much. We've covered a lot of kind of people topics there. Love to maybe end on just more specifically, how are you thinking about improving your use of technology during the off season? Like what are maybe it's more process, maybe it's new tools. Um, but how are you thinking about that, and maybe what are some of your priorities for this winter, or were for last winter and paid off this year? Megan and Hunter, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah, we we joke on a regular basis, including with SingleOps, about how much of the system we don't use. And want to continue to explore, ways that we can utilize SingleOps to automate and just be better. And so that's something that, I challenged our office manager, and plant healthcare manager to sit down, get our person, Zach's our person,
Hmm.
and understand renewals better, right? Understand certain things that we aren't necessarily utilizing in SingleOps, and that way we can really hopefully minimize the amount of work that we're doing and we're allowing the software to do, to extend that time that we have to hire an additional person. I think software really does help with some of the tasks that ordinarily we'd have to pay someone to do, client reminders, this, that, and the other. So
Yeah.
um, that's a big one for us. And then just, exploring other software. We've been maybe dealing with a software that we're not a huge fan of. Wintertime's a good time to pick up that new, email software, texting software, whatever, and train on it before. Which is why I know that SingleOps, you guys tend to be very, very busy in the wintertime with onboarding people and helping solve problems. So
Yeah, yeah, but we know it's your time to learn too. So, especially our customer success team and our support team, we make ourselves as available as we can possibly be to help our customers. And I think that's part of using a web-based product it's going to just improve over time, kind of continually. And we do our best to inform all of our customers about changes that we're making, but you guys are busy, and winter's when you're going to probably take a step back and more intentionally approach implementing or learning something new. So we're here for you. Priscilla, anything you'd like to add on the tech front?
Very similar to Hunter and Megan.
Yeah.
We try to learn something new in single ops every winter, try to improve things for the spring. Automation is on my list this year. And also shout out to Zach because he's our customer success person as well.
Mhm.
He's great. So every year we try to, use more of the software. I feel like in the 6 years that we've used it, I feel like we're not using it enough or to the capabilities that it has. So every year we're learning something a little bit more. So that's what we'll be doing this winter is automation and figuring out job costing. We're not great with the job costing piece. So we'll be working on that as well, trying to improve that as well.
Yeah, that's a huge unlock.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, anything, what did you all focus on last winter that you saw pay off this year from a technology perspective? Anything you'd like to highlight?
I think that since we started using SingleOps, we used it in a very basic sense. And since, learning, more and more pieces as we go along, it is like a crucial role in our company. It's the foundation of all that we do. We couldn't really run a business without SingleOps at this point. Um, But yeah, I think like learning the new tree inventory, that's like an amazing new tool. We'd like to kind of really hone in on that. Doing like plant healthcare now, doing the batch renewals, that's an important component. So we're just trying to really learn, all the ways that we can make SingleOps work better for us. So, it's a great product, but there's so many components of it. And, as now it's Granum and the other all the other companies that have come together. I feel like they're pulling, all different ideas from all directions. And I think it's overall just really benefiting the end user, benefiting us to kind of really have additional software options within the system.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and as well, one product we're really excited to deliver more completely, I'd say, to the tree care community and SingleOps customer base this year and going forward is Greenius. Greenius is a training and professional development product. You can put your employees in there. There's pre-built content. You can upload your own content. You can build learning paths, and you can, educate and enable your workforce. And we have a really kind of exciting vision for how that's going to evolve going forward. So. Okay. I thought we had a slide for Q&A, but let's move to a few minutes of Q&A here. I know we're coming up to time, but we can take a couple questions. So I saw one that would be a good question for Hunter. How do you approach pricing for doing a tree inventory for a client?
Yeah, it is a really good question. We're still learning as we go, I would say, because this is a new process for us. So a little trial by fire, I would say. But
Mhm.
really, we're pricing out the same as we do any of our other production right now. So it's all time based. So the number of hours that it's going to take on the ground to do that inventory and the number of hours it's going to take to write up a report that's going to go with that inventory and presenting that as a package to the customer. One thing we ran into is, the very first one we did, we kind of got, I'll say, screwed for lack of a better word. That we delivered everything before we got fully paid for it, and they didn't like some of the results, and we didn't get paid for the whole project. So we learned quickly that, unfortunately, it wasn't a big inventory, so it wasn't a big deal. But um, that, hey, but we're going to create this report, but you're due for a 50% deposit because there is so much intellectual right that goes with it, especially on the report that we write that goes with it that accompanies the inventory,
Mhm.
that we need to be paid at least 50% upfront. Once the report is finished, we'll send you a portion of it. But before we release the entire thing, we require payment in full before we release all of the data basically to the customer.
Yeah. In our area, for some reason, I don't know if it's regional or whatnot, because I noticed some people are charging, deposits, this, that, and the other. People have a really hard time paying for a deposit for the work that we do for whatever reason in our area. It's just not common with tree companies. So we have started doing deposits with planting and then with the tree inventories, but it's been a process to educate clients on the reason we ask for a deposit.
But you've held firm on that, and that's become a part of your process, or do you ever kind of decide you're going to waive the requirement for a deposit?
Yeah, no, pretty much anything that requires an upfront cost. So, like Megan said, the
Yeah.
planting, the tree inventory, the crane removals, for example, something rented equipment, anything like that, we take a deposit to help cover the cost that we're putting out to acquire, whether that's an outside good or service, to protect ourselves. We don't require the whole price up front, but we do require that deposit to cover that cost.
Yeah, makes sense. And yeah, I see a few questions in the Q&A, a lot of discussion in the chat on deposits.
Yeah,
Um,
and honestly, the automation and the email templates using that and be able to put that language in that
yeah,
this template goes out with all those proposals is huge.
yeah,
You don't have to think about it. It just does
yeah,
it.
Just is what it is.
yeah. And Megan, you mentioned the importance of getting your terms and conditions, looked at. I think that's a critical piece there, and just sort of being confident in like this is our time, this is our value, you know, deposit is a completely reasonable part of a good sales process.
I think it helps to have a good reputation as well. If clients see that you've got 400 plus 5-star reviews on Google, they're gonna more than likely want to work with you and be okay with a deposit compared to someone who doesn't. So if you don't have that good online reputation, that's a huge part of your credibility.
Right. Awesome. Well, I know we're at time. We didn't get through quite as many questions as we might have liked to, but we had a lot of great content to cover. So just wanted to give a huge thank you to our panelists, Adam, Priscilla, Megan, Hunter. You all were awesome. Thank you so much for your support as customers over the years. And we wish you the absolute best with your winter season. Thank you to our audience. If you have not taken a look at SingleOps yet, you can register for a demo today, and we're giving away free gas cards to anybody who's booking a demo with us. So I'll leave that QR code here for a minute. But otherwise, hope you have a great holiday season and a great end to your year here. And thank you so much. Have a great one.
Thanks, everyone.